Here is how to build an aesthetic physique, a no BS guide. And this is going to be one of the only no BS guys on YouTube that actually has no BS, number one, but also one of the only people on YouTube not actually using steroids, using filters, using Photoshop, guys. This is all real. It may not be what you want to hear, but this is what you need to hear. So the first thing you must focus on when you're trying to lose fat, when you're trying to lose belly fat, when you're trying to get aesthetic, when you want to get a better shoulder to waist ratio, is going to be your nutrition, specifically your protein intake and being in a calorie deficit. So guys, it's very important that when you're starting your journey that you're eating enough protein, number one. Number two, that you're in a calorie deficit. Without a calorie deficit, no weight loss will happen, no fat loss will happen. Whether you have abs or not, you won't even be able to see them because you won't be able to get rid of the fat that you need to see your abs, guys. So it's super important that you're in a calorie deficit and you're prioritizing protein. Protein will affect your body composition significantly. For example, if you were to be in a calorie deficit and your protein was low, you would look skinny fat, versus if you eat high protein and you're in a calorie deficit, you'll look leaner. Number two, focusing on your shoulder to waist ratio. So in men, what women find attractive in men is generally shoulder to waist ratio, but also what makes you look aesthetic is your shoulder to waist ratio. So how do you improve that? So like I said, the nutrition will take care of losing the fat around the abdomen area. However, certain exercises like pull-ups, hitting shoulder presses, hitting side raises are really going to help round out those shoulders and make your waist look even smaller. So it's important to include compound movements. Make sure you're doing pull-ups. Do not skip pull-ups, guys. Make sure you're doing lat pull-downs. Make sure you're doing side raises, rear up raises, face pulls, all of those things. That'll increase your aesthetics significantly. When my shoulders started getting bigger, it made my waist look even smaller. Next thing you want to focus on is having a low body fat percentage overall. So I already said calorie deficit, which is what's going to lead to a low body fat percentage, but there's also other things. For example, just getting more steps in throughout the day, like getting anywhere from 8 to 10K steps a day will help you increase your activity level throughout the day, which will lead eventually to lower body fat. And one more thing to lead to lower body fat, guys, is to be very consistent in your calorie deficit. Make sure your calorie deficit is sustainable and be consistent in it, because over time you will lose body fat. As you can see, I went from 25% body fat all the way down to about 9 to 10, right? Some people were telling me like, oh my God, you're 6%, but I knew I wasn't, because I would have like motherfucking, shreds in my glutes and shit. All right, the next thing you want to focus on is compound movements and your rep ranges. Keep your rep ranges between 6 and 15, guys, especially when you're lifting, when you're doing compound movements. Compound movements are going to be movements that incorporate multiple body parts, right? For example, bench press, you're not only working your chest, you're working your triceps, you're using your traps, your abs to stabilize the weight as well. Not only will you be able to lift heavier and see more gains as a beginner, but also you'll be building more muscle overall and burning more calories. All right, so make sure you're doing your squats, deadlifts, rows, pull-ups, bench press, all of that. Bringing us to number 5, progressive overload is super important. Listen, when you're in the gym, you don't want to be doing 135 for 3 years. If you're doing 135 on flat bench for 3 years, your chest isn't going to grow. You want to make sure that you're going up in weight each year. Like me, when I started deadlifting, I started at 135. Now look what I'm deadlifting, right? When I started benching, I was repping 115 for reps, and now look what I rep. You see what I'm saying? So it's super important that you add weight over time, and a general rule of thumb is just add 5 pounds to your compound movements every 2 weeks. Okay, so squats, deadlifts, bench, add 5 pounds every 2 weeks. That sounds like absolutely nothing, but 5 years down the line, you'll literally be repping 300 more pounds. Last but not least, let me just give you a few more extra tips, right? So one of the biggest things in this journey is not having analysis paralysis. Number 1. Number 2, also making sure that you're staying consistent. Consistency goes a long way. I've been going to the gym for so many years, and I've seen the same people be consistent and the same people try new things every single week and never get results. Those who are consistent, who keep it basic, who focus on the compound effect, take it to the next level. Another thing is I recommend a couple of books for your mentality, guys. Your mentality, your mindset is actually a big part of this journey as well. Because a lot of times your mind will tell you to do the wrong thing, or it might convince you to do the wrong thing, or it might convince you to eat cookies or stop, or tell you that this process is not working. So I recommend you read The Compound Effect, Think and Grow Rich, and also Atomic Habits, The Power of Habits, and The Power of Positive Thinking. Those are some really good books that will help you with your mentality for sure and mindset. One more thing is track your progress, right? So track your waist size, track your weight at least weekly to keep you motivated, but also to know where you are, guys. Because I remember when I first started, I was trying to lose fat, and I felt like I didn't lose anything because I look at myself every day in the mirror. And then all of a sudden I look at the measurements from the first week to the 5th week and I'm like, holy shit, if I keep up at this pace for another 3 months, I'm going to be fucking shredded. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what happened, right? Another thing is track your progress in the gym. Like I said, you want to progressively overload. So make sure you're actually tracking, you know, the weights that you're using in every single exercise, guys. Hope this helps.